I want you to imagine yourself standing in a crowded room, screaming at the top of your lungs, but no one turns around. For many children, this isn't a nightmare, it's simply recess. If you've ever watched a child retreat into the shadows of the playground or heard them say, I have no one to play with, you know the specific kind of heartbreak that brings to a parent and teacher. I experienced this firsthand when my son's second grade teacher informed me that during recess, he sat alone on the bench, waiting for someone, anyone, to invite him to play. Sadly, it didn't happen. We often tell children, oh, just go say hi or be yourself. But what if that advice is actually reinforcing the underlying problem? What if the issue isn't that they're shy, but they are missing a specific set of invisible social skills? Today, we will move beyond the cliched advice. I want to help you uncover the psychological barriers keeping your child isolated and give you a proven framework to help them build real connections. So, first, part one, the myth of natural popularity. We often treat social skills as a personality trait. You're either an extrovert or an introvert. Daniel Goleman, author of Social and Emotional Intelligence, argues that social intelligence is actually a set of specific neural capabilities. It's not magic, it's biology. When a child struggles to make friends or is shunned, it usually isn't because they're unlikable. It is often a deficit in one of two specific areas. The first, social awareness, our ability to read others' emotions, or two, social facility, what we do with that awareness. If we can pinpoint which neural wire is disconnected, we can help the children reconnect it. So let's start with social awareness, sensing the room. Goleman defines the first pillar of social intelligence as social awareness. And that first element is something called primal empathy. This is the ability to sense another person's feelings, primarily through their nonverbal cues. For a child on a playground, this is a radar system. Before they even speak, can they read the vibe of the group? The problem, many lonely children have a difficulty in reading nonverbal signs. They might laugh when a peer is crying or barge into a serious game with a silly joke. They aren't trying to be mean, it's just their radar is off. It is essential that we help these children understand others' feelings. So the question is how? First, we need to set up scenarios that require your child to intellectually process how another person may be feeling based on facial expressions. Here are a few examples to illustrate the point. These examples may seem easy to you, but many children struggle to understand what these people with expressions might be feeling. Once a child can do this successfully, they can move on to level two of social awareness. The second part of awareness is attunement. This is the full, sustained attention. In a world of screens and short attention spans, something I've discussed in my video on focus, attunement is becoming a lost art. Does your child know how to listen? Not just hear words, but truly listen. Here's an actionable strategy you can use. It's called the detective game. Sit with your child at a park or in a coffee shop, or even watch a movie with the sound off, and ask them, look at these two people. Who's doing the talking? Is the other person bored or interested? And how can you tell? Look at their feet. Are they pointed towards each other or away? Train them to look for the data most people ignore. When a child can decipher the clues, they can attune themselves to the other person's feelings. This is not only critical for social connection, but once mastered with accuracy, the child will begin to experience significant trust and respect from their peer group. That takes us to level three. Level three is empathetic accuracy. This is the cognitive step of matching the feeling with the reason. I feel you are sad, primal empathy, but the question is, why? A child with high social awareness knows that if your friend just struck out in kickball, they're likely frustrated or sad. They may respond with, you'll get them next time and pat them on the back. A child with low awareness might say something like, "Haha, you missed," completely missing the point that the child is already embarrassed. This isn't malice, it's a lack of cognitive mapping. You must explain the why. James is sad because he wanted to kick the ball successfully. Saying he missed it makes it all that much worse. When a child can respond empathetically to a situation, their friendships will deepen within the peer group. And this takes us to level 4, social cognition. Once a child can apply the first 3 levels of Goleman's social awareness, the next step is to refine it across social situations. Imagine all the various experiences your child has: school, family, church, the playground, even when maybe traveling. Each location requires a different set of norms and behaviors. A child who can discern how others feel can become adept at adapting quickly. And knowing exactly how those individuals feel is an incredible skill. That takes us to the second part, social facility, acting on the data. The transition from sensing how others feel to reacting accordingly. Sensing the room is useless if you don't know how to act on it. Goleman calls this social facility. This is where social awkwardness usually happens. So let's jump into these levels. Level 1 is synchrony, the dance of conversation. Have you ever watched two best friends talk? It looks like a dance. They take turns perfectly. Lonely children often lack synchrony. They interrupt, they monologue, and they stay silent too long. They're out of beat with the music of the conversation. The fix. It's called the tennis ball metaphor, and it explains the conversation like a game of catch. If I throw you a ball, ask a question, and you hold it forever, that's monologuing. The game stops. If I throw it and you drop it, one word answer, the game stops. You have to catch it and throw it back. Teaching a child to dance verbally with a partner is essential to integrate themselves with other children. It's a back and forth. Level 2 is called self presentation, the entry problem. This is a big one for school age children. How do you enter a group? Research shows that popular children, in a sociometric sense, use a wait and hover strategy effectively, whereas unpopular children use a disruptive entry strategy. The framework to teach. It is normal to wait. You should teach your child to watch the group for roughly 1 or 2 minutes. They need to mimic, so they're adopting the group's posture and energy level. They contribute. Do not ask, "Can I play?" which forces the group to stop and vote on you. Instead, contribute to the flow. "Hey, here's the ball," or "That's a cool drawing." Teach your child to slide into the stream, not build a dam across it. Level 3 is influence. Goleman talks about influence. This isn't about being bossy, it's about tact. An example of this is when your child wants to change the game. So, how do they do that? A low facility child, "This game is boring, let's play tag." And that's probably going to be rejected. A high facility child, "Hey, this is fun. Hey, after this round, maybe we could try tag." The difference is subtle, but to a 7-year-old, it is the difference between a leader and an outcast. And finally, concern. This isn't about just showing concern, it's about a child's willingness to act. We all face the struggle. Do we get involved? A child's ability to act in the best interest of the group or another child will go a long way towards establishing them as a trusted friend and begin to elevate them as a leader. Consider asking your child whether they would help another child on the playground. If your child's friend is sitting alone on a bench, would they invite them to play? Likely yes. If a child who is a stranger is sitting on the bench, would they invite them to play? Maybe. If a child sees another child whom they find annoying, would they invite them to play? Likely not. The key is that if a child can confidently invite all 3 children to play and help them become more social, they will significantly boost their own social capital and build trust. This takes us to your part, the parents and teachers' role as a coach. So, how do we teach this? You cannot lecture a child into social skills. You have to coach them. Home is the emotional gym. When your child has a conflict, don't just solve it, autopsy it. If your child comes home upset after a difficult encounter and asks questions, say, well, when you said X, what did the other person's face do? Did he look happy or mad? Why do you think he looked that way? You are building their neural pathways of social cognition. As part of this, it is essential to teach rejection. This is part of resilience. We must teach them that even with perfect skills, people don't always click. Goldman reminds us that relationships are fluid. A rejection today is not a permanent label. Validate their pain. It hurts when they don't include you. But don't validate their victimhood. Pivot back to skills. What could you try differently next time? So that brings us to the conclusion. If your child is lonely, please know this. Social intelligence is adaptable. It can grow. The brain is designed to connect. By moving away from vague advice like be nice and moving towards specific skills, attunement, synchrony, entry behavior, you're giving your child the tools to navigate a complex world. You are teaching them to be seen. If this deep dive helped you better understand your child, please subscribe. We are building a community here dedicated to breaking through the barriers that hold us and our children back. I'm Dr. Jonathan Strecker. Keep observing, keep coaching, and never give up on your child's growth. Stay strong.